it's just because I'm curious to see that balance, right? So if your marks are super high, maybe you can get away with having less of something else. But if you tell me your marks are like not so high, then maybe I'll ask, oh, what clubs are you in? What do you do for technology outside the classroom? Like, for me, it's a balance.
But if you're getting great marks and you have a scholarship, you don't necessarily need to include that you got the great marks, because seeing the scholarship implies that, right?
So that being said, today when you hand in your resume, I'm going to take note that this is a resume review practice session. So if your resume isn't like 100% where you want it to be, still turn it in. When we call you for an interview, you'll have an opportunity to send in updated, fresh ones. I mean, and you're going to have opportunities for Mark and I to talk to you. One thing that we were talking about at the career fair is when you come up to us with a resume, maybe your resume is subpar, but you're having a meaningful conversation with us, we can take a note on that thing, like, oh, this, his resume isn't so hot, but he was really interesting and he was really passionate about this and that and this. And so that's really good. Bring your resumes places. I know in the States, everyone brings a resume everywhere. So when I come here, I'm like, whoa, no one has resumes. So if you have your resume today, don't be upset with yourself that it's not where it needs to be. You'll have opportunities to send in fresh ones throughout the resume.
But you'll get a much better experience talking to us
Totally.
than you will by just shoving it off to a website and putting it in a bucket somewhere.
But I am going to note, everybody who turns in your resume here today was for a resume review session, so they probably acknowledge they have some work. So.
You let me off the hook?
Any other?
Presuming we make it to the interview, we will know in advance.
Presuming you make it to what?
Interview.
The phone interview, you'll know in advance? Yeah, we'll call you to set up a time so you can connect.
They're not just going to phone you randomly and go, ha ha!
Oh, okay, sorry, that's what you were saying. Yeah, no, yeah. We'll email you, hey, does this time work for you? I mean, we're in Seattle, so there's quite a time difference too, so it's a kind of a challenge to set those up. But yeah. Another thing, just for resume things, if you guys can write your graduation date on there, sometimes you write current, like start date and current. Well, I don't know if your degree is a 3-year or 4-year, so it's kind of hard for me to tell if you're ready for a full-time position or an internship. So if you write when you anticipate to graduate, that's really helpful.
Also, if you have multiple pages to your resume and it's not stapled, please find a way of stapling it. And write your name on every page of your resume.
So when I drop my pile and they go everywhere?
Yeah. Yes?
How necessary is it to complete certain courses in your degree before you apply for an internship at Microsoft? So algorithms, I haven't actually done algorithms even though I'm in third year because I was planning to take it before here.
Yeah.
And I'm doing networks now, that kind of thing. So just wondering what sort of emphasis does Microsoft place on those kind of courses?
Well, you might, so some of the questions we might ask in a short time frame to assess the fundamentals of programming will require a certain knowledge of algorithms. Whether you gain that knowledge by reading, by going to an algorithms course, or by doing problems for fun on your own time, there's no fixed way of doing it. But I do know that a good measure is that algorithms course, and it's kind of like that rite of passage. And if you enjoyed that and you remembered all that stuff, then the chances are you'll probably do well on the interview. But there are also people I know of that have not taken that course just because of how they program, the length of time they've been programming, the kind of things they do, they still have no problem with the questions. I don't know how my sample questions made you feel in terms of algorithms and stuff, but it's meant to think, meant to communicate, and like I said, I've been on interviews where people have not gotten the correct answer, but because they've been able to communicate and discuss and show their problem solving and stuff in a meaningful way, they've still gotten a thumbs up afterwards. And don't be afraid to ask for clarification, because a development environment that's in an interview on a whiteboard is very different from being in Visual Studio or being able to look something up online. I've had people who I've been interviewing that said, oh, I forgot the syntax how to pop something off a stack. And I said, okay. And they sort of said, well, if I was working in Visual Studio, I would have just looked that up and it would have auto-completed and corrected it for me. So there's a certain amount of forgiveness that I give to people If they're intelligent enough to know that I need to stack, I need to push and pop things, and that shows me they understand those concepts. Other things, remembering a semicolon or remembering a certain syntax. You're an engineer in a working dynamic environment. You can look things up. So I'm kind of flexible that way. You're going to ask this?
I was going to ask, is all the coding, do you have coding in your phone interviews?
It depends on who's doing the phone interview, and it generally no, but there will be some problem-solving type questions. So I would just be prepared for anything.
It was more that some companies tend to use awful editors like Google Docs for coding in phone interviews.
We wouldn't use that on a phone interview.
Well,
Just
sorry, live Microsoft Office.
Yeah, it is.
You have
Not
that,
just-
right?
Yeah, not that either. No, I'm just kidding. We would set something up with you. Normally it would be like just a Skype so we can see you, or they'd work with you depending on who it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I answer the question about grades and which courses you do? Do you look at academic transcripts or?
Sometimes people attach them to their resumes. It's not necessary at all, but sometimes people attach it, especially if they're proud of them. I've seen some really awesome ones lately. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. But it's not required.
The only time I needed to give Microsoft my transcript was actually to my immigration attorney, because they needed to prove that I had different degrees as part of my visa. That was the only time I ever got asked for my transcript.
Yeah. Cool. Do like one or two more, and then I'm sure pizza may or may not be here. Someone may know that. It's coming. Okay, cool. Actually, I gotta get the drawing stuff too.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Do you have a blog? Just out of interest.
I don't have a blog.
No, you don't.
No.
we have a jobs blog, but not a Mark blog.
My days are pretty crazy enough. I feel bad because it would be sort of, hey, I'm starting my blog, and then never touch it. So
Yeah.
yes.
How important is having active?
Pardon?
How important is having active
So it may come up, right? And if you want to put it on your resume, great. But sometimes, as an interviewer, and I might not get the resume until I'm getting ready to leave for the trip and come and do the interviews, or it might be the day of the interview. I'm given the resume and say, hey, you've got an interview tomorrow in a couple hours. So it really depends on if I have time to use it. It's a nice to have, and some people will go, oh, right on, and they'll click it and take a look. It really depends on time and stuff. But it's something to be proud of, and it's nice to see code.
This is a more like advice question. What happens is like you keep talking about projects and going into group projects and doing all that stuff. So like I'm really interested in programming and all that, and so like for example, I'm only first year, so I haven't done that much, but we learned how to find out how long our programs ran for. So as soon as I learned that, I went home, was testing how long my programs were running, was seeing whether hard coding something made things run faster, and just doing all these little fun things just out of curiosity, out of fun. But the problem is, most of the stuff, I'm far too nervous to ask to go to a group and ask, let's go make something that, we can show off and do this. I did all this stuff with him and we were collaborating and doing all that, but I'm far too nervous to actually kind of publish something with a group and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of advice would you give for me then?
Well, I've actually given the same advice to people that I've mentored in the past. Your professors are tremendous resources, and if you have a professor that you start to click with, somebody that you think their class is absolutely fantastic, and you're learning stuff from them. I don't want to talk bad about professors, but they're always looking for cheap labor, right? Like if you showed up at your professor's doorstep and said, I love what you're doing, I'm enjoying my projects with your course, is there anything I can do to help your research? I think a professor would be absolutely nuts to say no to that, because you're investing in your students, you're getting parts of your research done, you're allowing people to grow. I've seen cases where this one intern I mentored at Microsoft came in his third year, went back to his school, and was in his fourth year after our internship. And he did just this. He went to his professor and was doing really well in his classes, wanted to grow himself, and he ended up working part-time for his research group and got 3 or 4 publications with the professor out of his honors year. He wasn't the main author, but he was at least listed as an author on these publications. And it helped him grow and get exposure to a new area of machine learning that he really liked. So if you're seeing things in, testing, performance, maybe I don't know if there's a professor here that does a class in how to test software or performance or debugging or anything like that. If there isn't, then maybe there's a professor at another university somewhere that's remote that you might be able to converse with or something like that, right? That would be, that's how I would start.
Well, I have a couple prizes up here to give away. I have 4 shirts. One says, "My mom thinks I'm smart." Sorry, it says mom,
Yeah.
not mum. My mom thinks I'm smart. And on the back it says, "So does Microsoft." I have just a Microsoft logo shirt and then another Microsoft logo. Have a lady purse or a man bag, whatever you want to call it.
A MERS.
A MERS, yeah. I got a couple Xbox 360 games. A Lego architecture for the Space Needle where our headquarters is in Seattle. I have a Surface mouse, and then some Xbox Live points. So yeah, you can mark number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5.
All right, number 1 through 32.
27.
27, Apur, Dogre.
He's my friend looking for
How much do we like his friend?
Oh, he's gone. I'll call it. He's gone.
Okay, another number. We'll keep going from this one.
23.
23, Joseph T. S-A-I. Oh, come on up, Joseph. Come grab something. All right, another number 1 through 32.
23.
You're out of the 20s.
Michael Jordan.
Mark,
It
you
started
said
as-
numbers are truly random, or would you say there's some sort of pattern in what you're doing?
There's a pattern. It's data driven.
What did we say, 23? They started to write S-H-E-N-L-U, maybe? Wayne, last name? Oh, no. Cool. Cool, thank you. All right, another number 1 through 31. Not in the 20s.
5.
Timothy Tan? Yay, okay. 1 through 31.
8. That was data driven. That's how old my daughter is. Anything you want.
Yep. Cool, grab them then. Cool, thank you. So you said 8. Charbel and something? Oh, is that a good or bad thing? Cool, 1 through 31.
15.
Number 15, Louis Tai? Yay! Okay, keep going. 1 through 32.
9.
Sam Pollock?